Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLEU Super Week, the last day. And of course, because it is the last day, I've decided to trade my black jacket in for something a little bit more different, trying to get closer to Melly in terms of dress code here. Oliver, though, pretty standard stuff from you. That's what we know what we get with you, man. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
I've got another blazer at home, but it just crumples too much to use. It looks a bit weird.
Yeah,
looks like I'm from the
Mockies. You got the Mockies out, and it just crushes it all together.
Exactly. It just destroys jackets. It's not good.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, myself and Oliver, as per usual. Melly, good to have you with us tonight. Looking sparkly tonight. A bit of festive feeling, of course, as we do cap off our Super Week.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the last day, and the week has been so awesome such far, and I really can't wait for today's matches. I mean, we're already opening with a cracker, but later more to that, of course. And people, we will also know your thoughts. So head over to Twitter and use the hashtag WGLEU and tell us how you enjoyed the Super Week so far. And if you're maybe a bit sad to head into our last match day, just tell me everything. Tweet me, keep me busy. I like reading from you guys, and I try to answer most of the time. And also, I'd like to invite you to our Twitch chat to join the conversation with fellow tankies and an awesome group of mods, of course. And don't forget our team vote for the upcoming match, which Ollie and Mitch will tell you more about later. But yes, facebook.com/WGLEU.
Perfect. Great way to start things off here with a bang. And Oliver, we had some pretty incredible games last night. There's no doubt about it. We don't have a recap video, but we can show you the scores at least and give you an idea of exactly what we were seeing. And this was, pretty intense stuff. I mean, you got 2 5-0s and a 4-5 in there, and we'd have to say match of the day. At least, what was that Synergy Utopia one?
Yeah, I mean, next week you'll be able to see the highlights of this match day's games, and it was truly incredible. I mean, okay, the first one wasn't that great. Strong CM are just not like particularly performing that well, but the Synergy Utopia game, what did we have? We had the Desha versus John 1 versus 1 on Mines on that tiebreaker. Amazing stuff. You really can't ask for any more than that. We had the Papa Pavian blind shot onto the 113 or the FE215B in the cap on Ghost Town. It was just full of great stuff. Really great game.
Of course, the crucial moments by Silence as well to clinch the 5-0 out in the last game there in the 1v1. So just some really, really good stuff. Guys, if you do want to see those ones, you can head to our YouTube channel and check the VODs. If they're not up right now, they'll be up pretty darn soon. You'll be able to have a look at those and see how it all went down. But let's have a look at the table now, guys, as we do head in towards the last day of our Super Week. Oops. Sitting up the top there. 21 points for those guys at this stage here. So, I mean, we're seeing them still perform very, very strong. I mean, an absolute stunning season. Probably the best we've ever seen, actually, from a rookie team coming through, with maybe a couple of exceptions going back 3 or 4 seasons now. So they're looking really good. Tornado Rocks are right up there as well. And, of course, we do have Dingen and Wombats and Tanks bringing up the rear. So, very, very competitive top 6 there, Oliver. And we did see Utopia leapfrog KB yesterday.
Did anyone expect, I mean, realistically, anyone expect Oops to be at the top of the table by 1 point against any other team?
No.
I mean, I didn't. Grosses also don't say that we only just about qualified for the finals again to the WGLEU. But I'll say it, they only just qualified into the season and absolutely raping everyone. So, you know, you've really got to give it to them. They're a fantastic team.
Last chance qualification, of course, for Oops, and they did manage to sneak their way through. So that was last night. Seriously, I've never really lost my marbles at World of Tanks in such a way as then. I mean, some moments at the grand finals, but that was because the atmosphere was pumping it up. This was just some incredible action. Me and Ollie just sort of degraded back to how we get when we're out on the town, just having a bit of fun. So go and watch that. It was really good. Yeah. But, of course, today's matches are very, very important. We're starting off with a very, very important match, Ollie. Why is Penta versus Kazna Crew such a highlight here?
It's a bit of a grudge match, we have to say. I mean, Penta Sports and Kazna Crew, if you don't remember, went up against each other in the online playoffs, the pre-playoffs of the season 1, and whoever went through would, of course, clinch one of those 2 spots to go into the finals. And Penta managed to beat Kazna Crew, not quite in straight sets, in a tiebreaker as well, to some fantastic play. And no one expected it. I mean, Penta just about got into that top 6 position to be able to fight in the pre-playoffs, and Kazna were devastated, and they couldn't actually go to the finals because they already lost against Wombats in the upper bracket. So it's a huge game. We haven't seen them play against each other since then, so really looking forward to that one. Out of range, Tornado Rocks. I mean, out of range is getting better, but Tornado are second on the leaderboard, looking pretty good and also getting better. And that last game as well, I think that's going to be the closest one of today, potentially. Wombats on Tanks, who, again, progressing through the season nicely, starting to get some fuel in their tanks, really starting to get those higher gears. And Ding just been consistently great in every single match, basically.
Yeah, we're really enjoying them right now as well. But, of course, we zero in a little bit more on our first match of the night. It's going to be Penta Sports going up against Kazna Crew. And like you said, a grudge match if we've ever seen one. Bit of a Wusa reunion amongst them as well, as we do have a few of those players dispersed between these two teams. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, of course, Kazna Crew coming off 2 losses in a row to Oops and then to Synergy. Penta struggling themselves, really haven't found some footing. So both teams on 2 losses, both looking for a win. Kazna Crew really needs a win here and in the next 2 match days to secure playoff eligibility. So we'll have to check in with the captains now, of course. Let's hear from Penta Sports. Let's see what Hacky had to say about Kazna Crew.
Kazna Crew is our well-known enemy from the last 3 seasons. We were able to beat them 5-3 at the pre-playoffs and qualify for the Season 1 offlines. They started really strong in the season, so we will show them our strength and let's punish the punishment crew.
Penta finished second in the last season and also directly won us in a match for a LAN qualifier. I'm expecting a good match against them, and obviously we are going to be looking for a revenge on them.
Now, I think Oliver Hyber's playing that down a lot. Now, I'd spoken to him as well when he maybe wasn't on camera, and it was a big blow that Kazna suffered to miss out on Season 1 finals. Really, something that they very much expected to be out there. They were competitive all season with some great games. But when it came to the pre-playoffs, and this is something we always say about Kazna, only 6 teams get through to those playoffs. And Kazna had to play online to get through. And that's always been their weakness. They're so much better at LAN. The atmosphere, the electricity, the communication, the camaraderie is all there for that team. But online, it's a different story. They're sitting in front of their monitors. They're frustrated. They're separated over long distances, and they don't gel as well. This is a match they have to win. So you could almost paint it as a part of their road to qualification for the playoffs here as well. They can't be making any big mistakes. And whereas Penta know that they called Kazna Crew definitely on a low at the end of last season. They know what Kazna are capable of, but Himmelsdorf came around and Penta showed that they were the better team when it came to that map. Kazna Crew's map pool with some issues there. It didn't have quite the depth. So we're actually going to be starting off on Cliff here, which is what we've seen as a Penta choice generally. But we saw Penta's Cliff actually the other night. Wasn't that flash at all? Yeah,
they managed to lose 2 rounds in a row. And I think Penta has been a pretty good team on this map, and so has Kazna. They've also been a pretty good one. And if we do get to Mines, which is where Penta and Kazna had that really big playoff against each other in the pre-playoffs, we get to see a bit of a round 2, and I can't wait for that if it does happen.
That's it. The gloves are on, ladies and gentlemen. Before we jump into the game, though, it's time to hear what you guys had to say about some of these matches coming up, especially where you put your votes. Melly, 2 teams with big fan bases. Where do we sit?
Absolutely. I mean, it started out on a very, very solid 83% and now sitting tight on 73 in favor of Kazna. And I just refreshed it. If it's not right, I'm sorry. I was too fast for our producer. It's not his fault, it's mine. So 73 for Kazna Crew currently, and as said, 82 in the start of the vote. And did he change it?
Yeah. He did.
Whee! But yes, people, you can still vote. Head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU, and get yourselves involved for your chance of winning a bonus code. We're giving out 3 per match. That means 3 matches. 3 per match makes 9 in total. And so get in, vote for your team, and hope for the best. And as said, Kazna Crew fans are very vocal and seemingly not really shaking in their faith into their favorite team.
All right, well, there you have it. We have a strong Kazna following here. No surprises, but of course, the record favours Penta actually in the past. So let's see now how this is all going to happen in this first match. We're going to be kicking things off on Cliff. Tank picks to come through in just a few moments here. And straight away, in fact, Kazna going with the TVPs, the double bat chats here. Now, A player to watch is definitely Elian, obviously, who was part of High Voltage Cavaliers, I think, over at WCA. Came back. Haven't seen much from him here. He's got to reacclimatise to being back in Kazna, so definitely a lot sitting on his shoulders.
I would say for the last 2 matches, and one of the biggest reasons why Kazna Crew lost them is just because Elian was second lowest on the damage board, only just slightly a bit ahead of Eurofish or Hyber. And as the best player in Europe, well, claimed to be the best player in Europe, that's just not something that should happen. Stefan has been consistently good, but they need Elian up there as well. They need every single player firing on all cylinders to be able to beat Penta Sports. And you know, the interesting and the most interesting thing this match is that we haven't seen Kazna Crew play it. I mean, we've seen 6 rounds from Penta, 60% win ratio, but Kazna Crew completely unseen on this map so far. And that's going to provide some real interesting matches. And yeah, I mean, something totally new for us as well.
Absolutely. Penta Sports are going to be heading straight in towards the middle here. We actually saw them would try some things actually on the 1-2 line, especially using new multi-show as a key prober to go forward and see if he could light some people up. But that didn't work out so well. So let's see now. Kazna Crew, I mean, this is the scene of their destruction at the World Finals here. Elian wanted to back up, but Nexus was behind him, but the shots still ring true, and the dead zone will be the first tank to fall. This is an old-fashioned brawl, ladies and gentlemen, a la EL Gaming versus Kazna Crew at the World Finals. And Fighting Lion take a lot of damage, and so is Malin. Kazna Crew seem to have the upper hand in this little brawl, but these can switch at any moment. Derzanisha still has shots to fire. New multi-show takes down Eurofish as he pushed straight in.
The SDB really has to get in the battle right now because they did receive quite a lot of damage towards the end, and of course the TVPs are on reload, but they're very quick off those reloads in a few seconds time, and Stefan is going to push in against Malin.
Malin now going to struggle one more shot away here. Kazna Crew actually had the lead and then things started to turn around, but Derzanisha is on the reload. Can't do a whole lot right now, but just survey the battlefield. Problem is, Penta only have 2 tanks. Yes, they're very, very healthy ones here, but they're split apart on the map. If Kazna Crew can get the peaks, they're keeping Derzanisha constantly spotted, and he can't respond here. There's no damage he can do while he's reloading. You've got 2 autoloaders with nothing to fire. It's just a bad story, and that's Kazna Crew focusing down those key targets, those faster reloading tanks, and leaving these 2 Batchats on their own.
Technically, the 2 best players here on Penta Sports are alive, Derzanisha and New Multi-Show, and they're of course using autoloaders, but Stefan should have the reload here.
Stefan misses that one shot. He does have one more, of course. Even the combined fire of those Batchats coming through isn't going to be enough to clean him up. Elian has found New Multi-Show dugout, and his whole New Multi just turns around the corner and gives him the old don't argue. One more shot here for New Multi. It's not going to be enough, of course. We're still 4 tanks to deal with. You can see it going very, very close. Health point-wise, it was pretty close as well. But Kazna Crew, the focus fire from them to start with was pretty darn good. The dead zone actually went down first as well. A danger player, of course, for Penta. And that was an important pickup. New Multi, well, he's given away the game here. Obviously, it's pretty clear that he's got no shots left because he's rolled off the hill. He may take some damage on the way down. Not too much, but he's had to repair his track already, by the way. So if he gets tracked, he's done. Hyber, though, will get the finish here with the 2-5-1. And this is Kazna Crew living up to their name. It means Punishment Crew, and that's what they've done. They made correct peaks. I think the way they played the firefight was quite good.
Yeah, they were super aggressive, and they're just balls to the wall kind of style. I mean, some teams are on the defensive side, they like to put 2 TVPs back and then send the other tanks forwards, but Kazna Crew kind of played the bluff card there. They pushed all their tanks forward, and they had the 2 or 3 TVPs on the bottom right side of that corridor area. They had the Batchat on the hill, and they had a Batchat to the right. So all these autoloaders, 4 autoloaders, 5 autoloaders came in and just did so much damage at the beginning that even when those autoloaders started to reload, Penta Sports started to trail in HP. They started to struggle, definitely. And, you know, they just were so far behind at that point with the 50B getting taken down, with the Batchats being taken down, with the SDBs being taken down. They couldn't really claw their way back into the fight.
Well, and that was it. Focus towards those TVPs or the faster reloading tanks, because Kazna know that they get a bigger window of clemency, I guess, if they manage to take away those fast firers. So LD Nexus up the top there. There's Anishta, as you said, a New Multi-Show. So 2 of the key players there, the longest surviving, of course, were up there. But there's Elian, there's Stefan in the mix as well. And we're going to see a lot of those Kazna players vying for that top position and damage. They do have an all-star lineup, and you can see with 5 featuring on the top damage page, that's definitely where they started to win the game.
Yeah, Nexus just had an absolute blast in that round. 3 clips nicely out into the Penta Sports boys, and you know, it did come back slightly towards the end, and perhaps Kazna has to be careful of Penta's 2 Batchat players, because we are starting to load into that second round. Obviously, Kazna Crew won their defensive side, now moving on to the attack. I would say the slightly tactically harder side. We see a lot of attacking teams go for that western road down below, because you know, they don't want to get into that situation where they have to go against 2 tanks sitting in C5, C6. and maybe start to get worn down like that because they can't really do anything else. So you can see the lineups basically the same from Penta, basically the same from Kazna as well.
Yeah, so Kazna might try and fight over the middle of the map yet again. It really depends here. Maybe they throw something different in. And then change it up, of course. Kazna crew now look to be heading, splitting their forces up a little bit here as Hyber and LD Nexus and another TVP just behind them. It's Alien who will be heading over towards the 1-2 line. So Kazna crew won't fight on the hill, and there's a good chance that Penta won't push over either. These tanks for Kazna crew can't really show. If they show Penta Sports, there's only 4 Kazna tanks there. Penta will definitely push, or at least they should. So you can see them actually sitting right back here. See if they can spot new multi-shot, get some early damage on him. If they can perma-track him as he pokes the hill, will be very, very important. Hyber might even be able to light him from this position as well.
Yeah, I mean, Penta kind of were a bit slow towards that right side. The dead zone kind of failed with the driving, hitting the rock. But Kazna really defensive, kind of like the way I saw Tornado play it with the Batchat to the back and Wombats as well. So this is interesting. They're not in spotting positions at all. They're basically all safe. No line of sight. The only one who's really spotting forwards is Hyber. And they sent the 2 TVPs down. I guess that's just for a later push, not really to try and shoot anything, because they didn't really expect Penta to go around that corner. So right now, I think there's a condition where Kazna crew will say, right, let's start moving forwards. Let's actually make a play onto this. And perhaps that condition will be if Penta Sports take the bait and start pushing up that hill, the lighthouse right side, they'll just be able to take down that Batchat very quickly if Yizny gets a spot, and yeah, maybe just trying to bait Penta Sports into a push around that corner.
Penta now don't know too much, but ideally they would go for one of these pincer arms and try and take them out as quickly as possible. And this is actually the weaker one they're looking towards here. They look like to be setting up on the side of the hill. This is quite quick decision-making, by the way, from Penta. You've got to give them that. All together now, they're going to be looking for Hyber. Hyber side on, so he's going to have to back up pretty quickly. Does take 1 hit at least. More to come, I think, now as well, so it's going to take him a little while to get back down that hill. So 2 TVPs is not going to be enough to deal with these, and they should be backing off, realistically. If they don't, it could be quite dangerous for them here, as there's not going to be enough damage coming from the Kazna side to neutralize any of these Penta tanks before they get the damage done. Next is going low. Both those TVPs have now used all their shots, so they're going to get jumped on. This is the perfect decision, actually, by Penta to go for this weaker side of Kazna. Alien now, well, can't do much himself. He is now on reload as well. He'll be taken out by the rest of those tanks. So Penta come out on top there in a big way. They make the right decision. They choose the correct path. And well, now they're going to sit tight here as Kazna bringing in the reinforcements.
Yeah, but Kazna crew must have known that's what Penta would do. We've seen Penta do that exact same move before, and we've seen them lose because they committed too much to it. But I mean, to be fair, they've taken down 2 tier 10 tanks. They've also settled themselves. They got themselves into a good position, and now Kazna crew is really, the onus is on them to try and come back into this game.
He's going very, very low. The dead zone does get a pick on towards him, and Kazna crew only have 3 tanks left. This is perfect from Penta Sports. Kazna crew going for a very flimsy and exploitable strategy, and Penta made the correct decision. I guess they prodded at just the right pressure point, and Kazna crew now collapsing. It's just Stefan left in the TVP, and he was well and truly back from that action. Wasn't really able to contribute in a big way. He's been spotted as well. All the whole firing squad going to be looking towards him now. Stefan might want to try and pick off one here, but it doesn't matter. Penta, a very, very dominant performance here. Haven't lost 1 tank at all, and they're just going to circle around Stefan and finish him off.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this was an interesting tactic from Kazna crew. Obviously, Penta Sports made the right decision, but I mean, if I'm playing that really defensive tactic from Kazna crew, I know that I'm going to kind of give the information to the other team, give them map control a little bit. And we've seen Penta Sports do that exact movement against, I think, Tornado, and they got absolutely obliterated by it, by just a few tanks from Tornado down that left side. But I think what happened was the TVPs went down very quickly, and Kazna crew kind of split their forces, whereas Tornado sent all their tanks down, just getting control of that middle area and then just going down into a brawl situation when they had the higher ground. Penta kind of had a TVP of Stefan here. They had some Batchats up there. And we saw as well some play issues like Yizny going too far in there in the STP or the Batchat and getting taken pretty low. So, yeah, they obviously are playing the positional game, the later game. But I think Penta just did too much damage in that early stage and managed to recover from the positional disadvantage they gained.
The thing is, like, you split your forces, first of all, and that's not necessarily a problem if the round plays out the way you want it to. So Kazna are like, okay, well, if Penta push the hill or just try and roll over the hill and go for a fight, then all right, sure, we probably have a crossfire here. But on the off chance that they don't, which it turned out to be actually more than an off chance, we're screwed. If they push with their whole force, if they push with any sort of conviction, we're going to get stomped because we split 3 and 4. If they move with 7, well, there's no way we can win. With 3 tanks taken out of the game straight away, Kazna crew didn't have the firepower really to fight back, especially once all the TVPs had reloaded because the other half of Kazna crew was on the other side of the map. Couldn't get involved in the action. You can see Ilya, Nexus, Hyber. They're the 3 that got jumped on to start with. And that was all that they could really do. So,
yeah, but they kind of screwed up because if they should have done a lot more damage than that. I mean, at the end of the day, Penta did some great shots on the move, some great hip shots, and managed to hit those tanks. Whereas those tanks, which were sitting still in the defensive positions, only managed to do about half damage. So, I mean, I think Penta knew what they were doing and knew that it was a risk, but they managed to put enough pressure onto Kazna crew to obviously take advantage of maybe Kazna crew's slight indecision on that map and maybe some amateurish play. And they haven't got the experience on Cliff Kazna crew. I mean, I think they have some flashbacks, some nightmares from their game against EL Gaming at the Grand Finals.
Well, that's what I was saying. They got wrecked in the same spot every single time and they avoided it. So we're going to go to Ruinberg now, guys. Of course, a map you should be well familiar with. Concentric, I'm going to say it properly, city streets in the middle, and of course towards the east we have an open field. Cap in the north, Cap in towards the eastern side here, and Kazna crew on the attacking side. Now they're bringing the triple batch out, which can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes I really love it, sometimes it just gets absolutely trounced. So Stefan also playing a Waffentrager Alpha 100. And Penta, I feel like going for a bit more of a standard lineup. Triple FE215B, a couple of batch chats. Still with 2 batch chats was a lot. Getting tracked there is pretty much game over. Alien is dead now. Once these 2 have reloaded, they'll reload at the same time, exactly the same time as Alien. And Alien should go down here realistically, at least take a fair bit of damage, but somehow he's managed to get away before the bat chats have loaded just around the corner. It's a lot of free damage going, and Hyber also took some himself.
Well, the thing is, Alien played, and Kazna crew played the kind of risky game of saying, okay, well, there could be more tanks at the back, and that's why Penn Sports didn't go across, because there's like 3 or 4 tanks there. Those bat jets that pushed around the corner would have all been dead. And Alien just pushed in. He knew he'd die at some point in time, so he just wanted to distract, so those bat jets couldn't shoot across the middle of the map. And they have got control of that northern cap, and Eurofish has to be careful, though, with the exchanges.
Yeah, this isn't terrible. This is a good move by Kazna to set up in the north. This is actually why people used to put IS-7s up there or other big tanks. So Kazna crew have control of this part of the map, but they are 2 tanks down, and Hyber does take enough hit. Fighting line is a one-shot, and Vetso has 5 ready to go. Even Eurofish can get involved, but every time Eurofish peeks this, he takes... Well, honestly, he's bounced a couple, quite fortunately, but he does take a fair bit of damage. So Kazna now have these 5 tanks left, and they are set up around this capture point. Resets coming in from Mayland there up on the hill. You saw that, but it's not really a big reset, as Nexus has a lot of those capture points accrued himself. So it's going to be a flank from Penta here. Good timing from Penta. I mean, any later than this, and they might be risking losing the game, but you see that they can sort of isolate... Oh, God, Stefan's in trouble here. Stefan coming forward there, but he's not looking towards his behind, and now the damage is going to come in hard and fast. New multi-show going to come out and get the finish on that Waffentrager, who only fired 2 shots, by the way. That's not efficient use of that tank at all. And 3 tanks left now for Kazna crew. Penta Sports circle in for the kill.
Yeah, Penta Sports got the resets in time and managed to take care of the bat check quickly enough. Hyber got reset quite a few times, Nexus got reset. And the point of that Waffentrager is that when Penta Sports are forced to push around that corner, it can do a lot of damage, but actually what happened is that Penta Sports got resets, and it was indeed forced to push around that corner, and that's where Penta Sports managed to win the game and take down that Waffentrager. So, yeah, I could see what Kazna crew wanted to do. And it was an interesting tactic. I mean, send Alien, as we do see a lot, double bat check going up into the middle. Send him as a kind of distraction tool. Yizny in the background to say, okay, Penta, we potentially have more tanks in here, because it's normal to send an Object 140 there. So you try and play the bluff game, try and kind of do the old switch and bait, and at the same time you push towards the northern side. But of course, Penta are the masters of that kind of tactic. Yeah. They've executed quite a few times on this map in similar fashion, and they just knew how to respawn. They knew that if they had the Object 140 hull down, it would be able to get the first reset, mail in the back to get the second reset, and then they would have the FE215B around the corner to get the third, and of course later on the mediums in the background to just finish the game. They're
also the masters of the Ruinberg cheese as well, Penta. Exactly. I mean, if there's any team that you can definitely say with a good degree of confidence that they're going to be able to take an attacking round away in Ruinberg, it's got to be Penta. We've seen different things from them each time, and they're guys that are not afraid to push the envelope and maybe revolutionise things a little bit to actually come out with a win here. So, I mean, the Dead Zone there, top damage. LD Nexus, of course, was actually on that cap, so he wasn't really a focus point early on, as most of Penta were drawn towards the bat chats moving in towards the northern side. A strategy from Kazna, by the way, which we used to see actually in 742. It's quite common, or even back in season Season 1. So that was something we did see, teams going to the north, and someone put an IS-3 there or something just to stop them. And people stopped putting IS-3s there because teams stopped going towards the north, and that's why now it was mostly a fort around the middle of the map here. So Kazna Crew, a bit of a more classical approach towards this map, but still not really working out, as Penta are always going to punish you there for any weak spots you leave, primarily not watching their backs, and Penta came through the cityscape.
Yeah, we were talking about this map yesterday, actually. I mean, the thin line between winning and losing is paper. I mean, sometimes you see a team just win on Ruinberg, and they have 1 or 2 tanks left on like half HP or basically no HP, and it's such a thin line between that and your team just being completely dead, your tactic being dissolved. Again, we were talking about it yesterday quite a bit. And you might see a team trying to attack and just being dissolved really quickly, but it doesn't it only takes like the 2 or 3% difference in variation in terms of damage and execution for it to be a successful round in Ruinberg. And that's what makes it such a tricky map to succeed on the attack with.
So Kazna Crew now will be defending at least here, bringing a 62A, even a Skoda T50 at the tier 9 slot here, whereas Penta go for artillery, which we honestly, on occasion, I think it was even Ding on this map, used it really nicely. It was Diplomat, just really doing work with the M40, M43 from the southwest. Let's see if that's going to be the case here for Penta, as by the looks of things, they do want to head towards that bottom half of the map, set up for the cap point number 2.
Yeah, I mean, the M40, M43 is always a good discussion. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it just becomes a useless tank, and you just don't have that forward fighting ability you would get with 2 tier 9s like 2 T54s or 2 Conquerors or whatever you like to take on this map, or just a tier 8 like an RU251 or T54 lightweight. So I'll have to see. I think last time Kazna Crew, I'm pretty sure last time Kazna Crew played this map, it was against Synergy, and they managed to lose the defensive side, and that's where things started to go downhill for them. And that's what they're going to be trying to avoid this time around, because Kazna always has these, at some point in the season, slumps, right? They always seem to have slumps, and they're going to be trying to avoid 3 in a row. Dazenix gets caught out pretty badly in that big old STB1.
Yeah, Kazna Crew have control of that 0 line here. You can see how much they can usually do with it, but Eurofish being punished here. And just poking out a little bit too far, and I hate to say it, he's one of the main guys on Kazna as a culprit for that particular move, just a little bit too far.
Well, a lot too far. I mean, he was way around that corner. There's no double bushes there. I mean, you're always going to get spotted in that situation, and I'm pretty sure he got chunked down in pretty much the same fashion as he was last time. And what was really even more careless was the fact that he kept on reversing through the gap between the 2 houses, which is prime positioning for that artillery of Raging Potato. And you heard that artillery shell come in, and of course, it managed to miss, and probably not Raging Potato's fault in that one, but it missed, and he could have gone down. And Eurofish has just been, lacking some pernicious play. Like, I mean, we haven't seen him really perform for his teams since 3 or 4 matches.
LD Nexus there on your screen. 62A, the perfect tank for this job, by the way. He needs to be pretty much fully pushed by that IS-7 and STB to go down, because he just bounces so many shots from his turret, and he probably will try and do that. He's actually keeping himself clear of Raging Potato. So until LD Nexus goes down, Penta don't really have a whole lot of options really at their disposal here. You can see that Vitaline's as well could be bouncing plenty of shots and sends one back in the direction of Ely, and that's rough, especially while Vitaline's still moving as well. Bit of a middle finger up towards Ely in there as well. He's saying, "Come at me, bro. I know people say you're the best, but I'm here to maybe show you a little bit differently." And casually flicks his turret in his direction. There's some damage coming back towards Vitaline's though as well. Nexus does take a hit there. May even have been from Raging Potatoes. So Kazna are holding on for now, and Penta gonna have to make a move soon.
Yeah, I mean, they've done well, though. I mean, Nexus take quite a lot of damage, and of course Eurofish, but there's a bit of an exchange going on the other side of the map. Nexus receives 1 from artillery, as he's gone pretty defensive, and New Multishow goes his Yizny. And, Yizny being the only player there, it's going to be a bit of a problem, but that might put pressure onto Raging Potato in that artillery piece, and he might have to flex a bit, which would, of course, give Kazna Crew a little bit of respite from that continuous damage. And, yeah, I mean, if Nexus had stayed in that position, is a pretty likely scenario that he'll get killed at some point in time. So that's forced Kazna Crew from that 0 line, which will allow Penta Sports to get that very crucial position under control for themselves.
So Kazna Crew give up the 0 line, but now what? How do they respond to this? Because they need to do something else. You can see the Conqueror now moving up on the corner, and tanks are moving out of that cityscape as well. Maybe, well, I don't know, Conqueror and the FV to try and spot some stuff on the cap can get resets from long range, possibly?
the Skoda and the 50B to make sure that there's nothing coming from behind, like the Batchat or the artillery piece. So, I mean, this is unusual for a team not to play around that eastern village. And I guess it's a good counter if you're playing against the opposition with an artillery piece.
Hyber in that Conqueror as well. Now, the dead zone can't actually be on the cap and not be visible to Hyber, I think. And the position that he is now is probably the safest that he can be in. Well, Hyber can still look towards him here. So here's his name, the tier 9. He has the new multi-show, and that's not really a 1v1 you want to take, but the 50B will be supporting in just a moment. New multi not actually aware of the presence of that one here, and Isne didn't want to push it with Stefan, interestingly enough. I'm not sure why. As New multi actually able to avoid a lot of damage right now, and he can just
Fails in the background.
play for time. Vale with 2 shots at least. It's not looking actually really that good now. He's not going to get pushed. He bounces that one off the Batchat as well. And Stefan now just trying to muscle his way through, but of course with Vale getting involved, that's a beautiful play by Penta. Pretty much outplaying in every way the Kazna tanks there as well. The multi-bounce spot off his rear, and Stefan's on reload. When does it ever happen?
We've seen so many bounces on the Batchat. I mean, unbelievable stuff. That penetrate for the MX-50B is like 340, 330 with 8 PCR, so incredible bounce there.
Yeah, Stefan mad as heck as well. Types RNG love hard in towards chat. Not that you can see that, but I can understand his frustration of that one there. Is Vale is going to be able to do a lot of damage towards Stefan here. However, Stefan reloads. New multi almost off reload himself. Stefan wants that Batchat, and he might actually get it here. Just New multi tries to nip around the corner, he goes down. Now Stefan, I can't believe the time to write that in chat, man. Seriously. Anyway, so now Stefan versus Vale, 1v1. Vale will probably push him when he's on reload, so Stefan should probably leave. Malin there as well, trying to take care of Hyber, who, by the way, has been a very, very important part of Kazna's strategy on that corner. Ilian drops to Derzenishta. Vale misses a lot of shots there as well and allows Stefan to get around the corner to safety. And Hyber's still holding on as well. He took down Malin. 5v4 situation. Penta Sports don't really have the tanks in position to actually go for the cap here, so those 3 tanks for Kazna are in towards that middle village is going to be very, very important. Stefan had to meet his maker there. He had to admit that he was probably going to go down, but he did do a bit of damage. Vetso's still healthy for Kazna, which is a good thing, and he's almost off reload as well. That
should never have happened. I mean, that Batchat should have gone down, and Vale should not have been able to get that exchange, and that's just incredible. I mean, the Batchat's just an absolute beast. You can bounce all sorts of things. It's kind of like the LTTB of 754. So right now, Penta Sports are ahead. I mean, 1.3, almost 1.4K. And, you know, okay, the time is starting to run low for Penta, but they still have 3 minutes and 30 seconds to play with, which is quite a lot. They've got, okay, an artillery piece, which is not really going to be too useful. We'll have to see, which does make it 4 versus 3 in terms of combat tanks. But with the STB1 pretty healthy, with Vitaline pretty healthy, and with Vale very healthy in that TVP, it's going to be a tough old match for Kazna crew to hold on to. Yeah, the health is definitely not in their favour here at all. Vetso can turn that around quickly if he has a good vantage point. But now, right, Penta, I guess, are looking for Kazna. They can cap this one out. They've got plenty of time. Kazna are not set up to spot anything really on the cap. I mean, except with Hyber and the Conqueror going forward and maybe offering himself up as a bit of a freebie there, unless he can bounce the shots. Vale, you can see he's being very careful to skirt around the outside of that capture circle and not trigger any alarm. They move in towards the middle of the map here, Penta. Good idea here. I mean, it's going to give you that much more security about going for this cap on number 2 if you have that village under control. Hyber's got to stay patient. If he peeks too early on, it's going to be a very, really standard move for Penta Sports just to push around the corner and take down Hyber. But if he stays safe, he's going to be the kind of sneaky Hyber in the background just to be shooting with that Conqueror, you know, 390 damage, 390? Yeah, 390, 400 damage, pumping into the back of Penta Sports every 8 seconds or so. So he's just got to stay patient, stay safe, and make sure that he can still get the decap at the same time. He's refusing to peek right now, and the cap has begun. So we'll see. Penta should have a tank actually in the middle village to watch any sort of reset attempt coming out from that EF line. So they, theoretically, despite having one less combat tank, they should be fine here, really. Vale should be watching in towards the middle, though he's not at the moment. I don't think Hyber really too worried at this stage. He's got a few seconds. He's just a little bit of a peek. Doesn't really see anything here, but perfect. Vitaline moves towards the corner. He cancels out Hyber's attempt to really get the reset here. And this is just what you have to do. Using Rage of Potato as a capping piece, you can still maybe fire some shots if he has to, but
Can't really argue with that one there. Vitaline is the perfect tank to have in this position for Penta Sports. And Kazna now, well, they need to get a reset, honestly, Oliver. I mean, they bring in a T62A in from the back, but it's going to be too slow. They've only got 10 seconds left, and they must reset.
And then Veto's getting absolutely chunked down on that AMX50B. We can't see him, but he's just in the background. Eurofish charging through the middle, and it's all onto the T62A of Nexus, who's a one-shot.
We get a reset here at least, I think, as we do have a TVP on reload here, but only 2 seconds left. It's got to be pretty darn quick. Hyman just got slapped by a big shot. There's a reset. Vale actually killed Eurofish with a cheeky little side swipe there as well, so only 3 tanks left for Kazna, and they will fall here as well. Penta, again, have done it. They have won an attacking round on here, on Ruinberg, should I say, and in stunning style. That was very, very impressive. Nothing crazy. Didn't reinvent the wheel. They just played some very, very solid tanks.
Yeah, they did. They're really, I mean, they've really got the early peaks really well. I mean, Eurofish going down low in that TVP definitely gave Penta Sports the advantage. Derzanita should be able to find this shot relatively easy, does get it, and that's going to be the 3rd round on the board to the just 1 of Kazna Crews. So, yeah, I mean, what did we see there? We saw, you know, great early aggression from Penta Sports, the artillery piece, pushing Nexus back, getting control of that 0 line. Vitaline in the great position there with the IS-7. Not enough early aggression from Kazna Crew to actually get Penta Sports into some sort of reasonable position where they didn't have, you know, so much HP to play around with. And then, you know, they just played it through. Eurofish already kind of sacrificed himself in many respects.
Yep.
And then getting control of that right side, had some good engagements here and there, and you know, just used the time allotted, you know, to win the match.
There wasn't much time left by the end of things there, but
About a minute.
Yeah, the first few moments I think were probably the most important ones there. Vale and Fighty line up the top there. 4794 damage, by the way. It's something we didn't really notice Vale doing consistent damage. We didn't really highlight him as someone who was actually really a factor, but that's a heck of a lot of damage.
Insane damage. Really, really insane damage. He just helped his team win that a lot. And, you know, you have to feel a little bit sorry there for Kazna Crew because, I mean, the reason why Vale did a lot of damage is because Stefan bounced the back of New Multishow's turret with an AMX50B against the Batchat. I mean, that was New Multishow one-shot. That would have been New Multishow down. And, you know, Stefan would have had about half HP to deal with Vale. So you can see how one bounce in this game can make a huge difference when you're talking about autoloaders. And yeah, that was super unfortunate for Kazna Crew. But, you know, these kind of things happen. You have to take them into account that, you know, sometimes the gods are against you. And yeah, to of course the advantage of Penta Sports and two rounds on Ruinberg, can't argue with that at all as we move towards our next map, Prokhorovka.
Yeah, I mean, huge stuff here from Penta. They're going to go 3-1 here, and a strong start on Prokhorovka could be very, very important. Although, to be fair, it's a map that Kazna are pretty good at. I think they've been decent so far in this season on this one, and even they've actually managed to bolster their Himmelsdorf play. It's been a lot better than in recent times, but a little bit weak on that Ruinberg and losing. Would you have thought a year ago that Kazna would be getting wrecked on Ruinberg? Really not something that we saw very often.
Well, I think for Kazna Crew, I mean, they're kind of wrecking themselves. You know, Eurofish going down, and I felt like the last 2 matches for Kazna Crew, they've got really unlucky with the old RNG, like really unlucky. They've had some decent plays, so they've done some really terrible plays, but there's been bounces and all sorts of weird stuff that's happened to them where you've seen them, both teams writing in chat like, what the hell was that? Yeah. And, you know, that's kind of like that's the kind of thing you have to deal with. And to be fair, they've put themselves in this situation. They've had some pretty terrible tactics and maybe some bad map picks going for Ghost Town consistently. So they really need to step up. Prokhorovka is a map that suits them, and they do need to win the next 2 rounds.
Well, grave signs for Kazna Crew right now. Melly is Penta go up 3-1, and that vote not seeming so accurate right now is Penta Sports looking very, very good going into Proc.
Absolutely. I mean, the vote is still sitting on 71% in favor of Kazna Crew, and if we compare the predictions of you guys at home, it's going to be a rough one because you predict a lot of 5-3s, 5-4s I already saw, and very few 5-1s actually, but if it goes like that, it could be easily a 5-1. I mean, I don't know where Kazna Crew's problem is, but it seems they're very inconsistent the last match play days of theirs, and we're actually used different. People, if you have any thoughts towards it and know maybe the reason, use the hashtag WGLEU on Twitter to send us a tweet and tell us what's happening.
All right, so we're going to be heading into the next map soon. Guys, if I do sound a bit croaky, it's because I am not 100%. I think I forgot to hit my cough button and gave a bit of a sniffle before, so I gave away the game. So bear with me now, as of course we're going to jump in a second. Tank picks are being loaded hot off the presses for you guys here as we head in towards Prokhorovka. 3-1. Penta are in the lead. Kazna crew actually going to be bringing Eurofish on that artillery, who's pretty darn good at it. But an IS-7 here, pretty standard
Not
picks
good
in
at
fact.
combat tanks.
Well, clearly. Well, I'm pretty hard on him, honestly, but I really think whenever someone's going too far, it's always him.
Well, he was playing for TTM Gaming, and he was like that guy who either plays really well or just shouts at his team to go all in. And
Baggers could tell you all about it.
Yeah, suicides like. The guy's a 50-50, but the thing is, in Season 1, and quite a lot of Season 2, he was so good. We were like, hey, this is the return of Eurofish. But in the last 3 games, it just hasn't been his rounds. Just hasn't had any luck, hasn't performed, and he does need to step on the artillery. You can only have 1 round to forgive and forget all your previous mistakes, and I kind of feel like Kazna Crew is taking a big risk here with the M40, M43. I mean, it's not unusual to pick an artillery on this map. We saw it yesterday from Oops. But to pick an artillery that is so inaccurate, so slow, it's a big risk when you're down 2 rounds.
Could take a leaf out of HD's book and go for the Lorraine here, which
I mean, the thing is, you have to give your map picks in and your tank picks in before the match, so they didn't know they necessarily were taking a risk.
Even still, Healy now to shift forward a little bit, looks for Raging Potato. Just blind shots at this stage, as he knows he's being spotted. So he knows with a decent amount of certainty that he's looking in the direction of Raging Potato as his light bulb was going off. So he backs off now, avoids becoming a baked potato, and probably just sit behind the bush for a while. And still a decent spot to spot from, as it were.
Potato.
Baked potato, yeah, like a lot of heat shells coming in towards him, just going to bake him right up. Yep. And so he'll sit there as well, behind the bush. I mean, we're crossing references here. But nonetheless, it's fighter line in the middle of the map.
No matter.
No matter. So far, Kazna Crew, no real considerable pushes here. They haven't actually done a lot of spotting, so there's not a lot for Eurofish to click at the moment. As Penta are all set up in towards that north-western side, but they've got a tank as well in the northeast right at the top there. So they've got some cover over both sides of the map at least. Kazna Crew, this is tough for them here, going onto the attacking side and risking going to match point. Losing it here.
I would say Penta Sports is kind of playing into Kazna Crew style, because with Vitaline there in the IS-7, in direct line of Eurofish, it makes it a lot easier when you're straight onto a tank when you're playing artillery. You don't have to worry about any of the side angles. It's good. And okay, so Raging Potatoes in a pretty normal bush. Kazna haven't managed to guess which one, so even though they have used it before in the past. And was that bit of team damage?
Vetso, yeah.
Bit of team damage from the STB. Unlucky there. Kazna Crew definitely not helping themselves, and there's going to be some rage there in the old team speak, which might tilt things a little bit for them. And yeah, they've got Eurofish, but they need to be getting the spots onto Vitaline, who's being very cautious in that IS-7, sitting back. He doesn't need to peek. The onus is on Kazna Crew to go forwards, as they are, of course, the attackers.
You're dead right. We've got a couple of STB1s in the middle of the map here. LDNX is actually being spotted, probably because he was firing so much, of course, reducing his own camo rating. And one shot comes in towards Nexus just over his head. So Kazna Crew now know that a lot of Penta Sports are set up here at the north side, but they can't see them, so it doesn't matter. They can try and blind shot a little bit more, but that could cause them to be spotted themselves and actually give Penta the opportunity to know exactly what they are and get the damage down. Good shot there from Eurofish, bit of splash towards Fighter Line. Normally, we do see IS-7s in this particular spot, and Eurofish, as it wasn't a direct hit, won't be able to tell whether he hit Fighter Line or not.
Well, Eurofish is using, Vitaline is using double repair kit, as you can see at the bottom. He's using the premium repair kit, of course, which repairs everything that's damaged, and of course the normal one, which you can just choose which one you repair. So it's obviously going to be using that for the old tracks, but it's caused his driver to go down, just a big deal. I mean, Vitaline is super immobile, and if Kazna Crew just go for that right side now, Vitaline will be needing to drive through the middle with that IS-7, which is now 0.5 slower with Jack of all trades. It only covers about 50% maximum of your crew's skills. So, yeah, it's going to be a problem for Penta Sports, but still not that much of a problem, and they are still quite firmly in control of this game. The next obvious moves here for Kazna Crew include just blind shooting the bushes, considering they knew they got spotted pretty early on. That was Nexus who got spotted. So Eurofish just needs to be trying to land a few, as Vale does receive one from Yizny and Hyber. Again, blind shots.
Yeah, so pretty common spot to blind shot up towards this hill here. And Vale hasn't really given away the trick here. So he has taken one shot, but just relocating. Realising now that he's not lit, he never saw a light bulb, so he would know that he had been spotted. It's just Kazna crew hoping to just try and set things up on this side of the map here. That shot went straight towards his mantlet as well, so I don't even know how that penetrated, but maybe it was a bounce.
It's not particularly a strong turret. You can penetrate it. It's long since the days, well, it's been quite a long time since the mantlets on World of Tanks were a bit buggy, where if you shot the mantlet at basically any tank, the shell would just get absorbed. So you can still penetrate mantlet these days.
Some are thicker than others, of course. The STB one, not the thickest. Easily now going to move up, and actually a 1v1 against Vale is definitely going to go in his favour. He will be
sport as well.
Yeah, that's right. And he will be spotted first. However, he's got a good idea. He wants to go here as well. So it's not really often that you're going to get challenged like this by an enemy Batchat if Isne really does suspect that something's amiss here. So good from him. Even if he wasn't spotted by Vale, I don't think so. Yep, does see him. Now he's going to unload. First shot towards Vale does hit. Now Isne's just going to lay down the herd, of course. Vale will get maybe 2 more shots. Maybe 1 more at the most here. It really depends. Isne gets the finish here. So that's pretty good. Unlucky. He's going to take another shot from Vale. That's pretty annoying. Yeah. RNG sometimes. It messed with Stefan last round. It's going to mess with you all the time. So Isne takes an extra hit because of RNG. And now Vitaline is making his way across the middle of the map.
Yeah, Vitaline slowly but surely just driving through the middle. Isne has gone down pretty low thanks to some good damage from the Batchats. Raging Potato starting to surge forwards, maybe looking for that artillery piece, but gets spotted. And the pain is going to come in pretty thick and fast from Kazna crew. He goes down. That's the RU251 and the STP out of the equation. Kazna crew's pretty similar on hit points because, of course, Vitaline is in that strong IS-7 piece. But now Kazna with the left side control and Penta Sports in the middle of the map. They just need to be careful of the Batchat, which is heading up towards the middle of the hill, as he has got his driver down and on a 1-shot.
Yeah, Isne can still do good work from there, though. It's just a matter of whether he's going to be spotted or not. Eurofish now shooting in towards the middle of the map. Excuse me. Could be pretty dangerous here for the IS-7 as Vitaline has to avoid that shot. It goes in just behind him, and that was another one there as well. So, yeah, dangerous place to be when you're going up against artillery. Kazna crew have done well to get things to this point. But Penta Sports are set up here over this train line. A couple in the north, a couple towards that mid-village as well. Isne has to be careful. If he can spot from that hill, he's done well. You see Mayland and Desanisha, they're yellow, so they've been spotted. It's probably Isne that's spotting them out right now. So that's very, very important for artillery now, as Eurofish can fire in this direction. Desanisha doesn't look like he actually wants to move, and Eurofish would love to have a crack at him right now. And he could probably guess with a good degree of confidence where he is, but just shifting now, Desanisha. Shots coming in. The dead zone has been spotted by Stefan, who's just pumping those shots into him. Perfect stuff there. They've spotted the 2 Batchats, and, well, the dead zone goes down without much of a fight. And this is much more of what we expect from the old Kazna crew.
They seem to be a lot more comfortable in this map, right? I mean, they're playing the advantages perfectly. They knew they could take down the RU251. They knew that they could use artillery to slowly work down Penta Sports. And, yeah, as Penta is comfortable on Ruinberg, I feel like Kazna crew is comfortable on Prokhorovka. Vitaline will just get surrounded and taken out. This is definitely Kazna crew's map and a very strong attacking side. Isne actually doesn't have to be behind double bushes here. He's now lit, so you've got to be a little bit careful. New Multi might have something to say about that. So he's heading towards the hill, but LD Nexus there is just going to be able to pounce on towards the Polish superstar as soon as he turns his attention. Isne finally went down. But we see the cleanup crew coming in thick and fast. It's Iliad pushing forward. Hyber's not too far behind as well. And New Multi-Show pretty much has to await his fate. Methodical play from Kazna crew. Spotting those 2 Batchats was very, very good. Having Isne up on the hill was great. They used what they had left after the initial engagement and really came out on top. Impressive stuff. Always New Multi-Show alive at the end in this battle. Completely redline sniper, but he really does his job. I mean, maybe one of the biggest downfalls of Penta Sports is New Multi-Show, but at the same time, he's definitely one of their best players, so it's always hard to tell. You know, obviously they're the ones who know best, and he's still in the team, so perhaps that's the reason. But I mean, a huge game from Kazna crew. You know, I felt like the same way Penta Sports was moving forwards in Ruinberg, getting those advantages slowly but surely, using that 10 minutes to the best effect. Kazna crew did the same, getting control of that left side with the artillery piece. Penta Sports going in there as well. You know, they kind of you know, damn themselves with the I-7 a little bit. Blind shooting where they needed to blind shoot against the RU251, pretty common tactic. But it was really their adaptation with the TVP and the Batchats to that right side, and the fact that Vale, who was put in that STB, was taken down pretty early on. Yep. That STB on that that full right corner in the bush. Yeah, and then, that's basically the control for Kazna they needed. And to be honest, they could have easily capped as well. So a lot of options for them.
And all the damage that actually went towards that bat shot, I think it was Isne, came from Vale. Most of it. 3 shots he managed to get away there. So Penta weren't really in a position to capitalize on having the vantage point on that side of the map. They just kind of sat Vale there as like early warning system. So if they were in position to get some shots towards him, they could even have actually taken down Isne or something. There was something to be gained there for Penta, but Isne was up the top there, and we do flick towards the bottom. And yeah, I mean, pretty average here for Penta. No one really make it towards the top scorers here in this particular one here. I think the top scorer was the multi-show, but as we sort of said, baiting a little bit in that one by necessity. It's kind of his role. The closest thing to a lurker, I guess I can think about a World of Tanks player, to use a term from another game, I guess. So, Penta, they're actually pretty underwhelming. And Kazna Crew, it was methodical from them, actually. The peaks were good. The pushes were good. They didn't go too ham early because they actually were in a bit of a compromising position towards the start of the map when they were sat trying to deal with all these Penta tanks in the north. They kind of knew there was some there. They weren't sure. Vetso shot Stefan or something happened there, and everyone was like, all right, just calm down, boys. Let's just go from square one and just mix it up a little bit here. I mean, we had one player drop as well, so we'll be back in a couple of minutes. But, I mean, yeah, Eurofish as well got 1,700 damage away with the M40, M43, which, like you said, on a map like this can be a bit of a risk and potentially a liability. But he still managed to make it work and capitalize. But Isne, 3,400 damage, got a lot of good spotting as well. I saw one shot towards Malin that came from the artillery that was spotted by Isne. So, I mean, if he was playing sort of a public game, he would have had a lot of experience, I no doubt. But, yeah, good damage overall from him as well. And from long range, so 10 shots connecting.
Yeah, I mean, he did his job. Eurofish did his job as well. He did what was required. And I think if Penta's going to take anything away from that match, it's kind of like, okay, so if you're going to cover off a flank on such a big map with a tank like, the RU251 on that left side, it's perhaps stretching yourself a little bit thin to cover off another flank with another tank. Like they've got 2 tanks. It's like technically you need 2 tier 8s or maybe 2 tier 9s.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, okay, you can cover 2 flanks on a smaller map with the lighter vehicles or whatever, medium tanks, but you kind of need to have at least some vehicles to support them, and those Batchets try to get back as quickly as possible. But you could see the Batchets, once they did get back, they kind of cemented themselves in that position just below the left side of that train track, and Nexus was there to spot the dead zone when he tried to cross over. Of course, they managed to perma-track him with Nexus managed to perma-track him with 2 or 3 shells. That's game over for the dead zone. Doesn't really have that speed, that horsepower to ton ratio to get over that train track very quickly in the Batchet, and he was taken down. So that's basically 2 tanks for free. But yeah, I mean, once we find Ilian back into the game, we should be getting underway. Solid round from Kazna Crew. A bit lackluster from Penta Sports. They kind of got outplayed in their tactics. Like the strategy just didn't work for them, and got countered very heavily from Kazna. So again, the game is back on. Kazna Crew, of course, getting a bit of a confidence boost after what was again a disastrous Ruinberg.
So let's see. Of course, we still have one more Prokhorovka round to go as well, importantly enough. And then from there, actually, I'll just check the map for you. It's going to be Himmelsdorf after that. So, what a fitting map that would be.
I mean, that's good. Is that bad for both teams? Is that good for both teams? I don't know.
Well, no, it's not bad really for either teams. It used to be bad for Kazna, but at the start of the season, we actually saw them play Himmelsdorf.
But Penta's been losing on Himmelsdorf like back to back right now.
Kazna 2-0'd Utopia on Himmelsdorf in the first week of the season, so they'd clearly done some work over the break to shore up that map for themselves. I mean, Penta, not so great, to be honest, in recent times. So it could be a draw card for Kazna Crew here. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it was Kazna's pick, though.
No, it's definitely not. It's probably Penta's pick, right? Yep. I mean, Penta's been picking Himmelsdorf like nothing else.
Yeah,
the good thing about Himmelsdorf is that, I mean, there's only a certain amount of tactics you can use, so you don't really have to counter-strat like you do. You don't necessarily get outplayed a whole lot. I mean, okay, like we have a big hill push, whatever, but there's always a defensive position, and most teams do take defensive positions on Himmelsdorf to spot that out or to counter that pretty early on. So yeah, I mean, Himmelsdorf is a bit of a relaxant map for a lot of these teams, so can't wait. But yeah, should be a good map. Should be this next round as well.
So we're already on Alien right now. We can cut to something that surfaced on Reddit last night, I think it was.
Good old Reddit. I never expected to see you on top of Reddit, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
I've been on there before, mate. a few times. Yeah, and other subreddits actually, to be fair. But this is interesting. Yeah. So obviously, for those who missed the story, there was a bottle on camera the other night, and I moved it, tried to be subtly moving it. Apparently, it's a funny thing. So fair enough. I don't really know, but there you go.
It is funny. You have to admit
he's
it.
the only one who doesn't get it. Everyone else is
understand it.
laughing as hell, and Mitch is like, I just don't get it.
Whatever. We'll jump in a game now as well, but you should let us know what you think about that one. I mean, I don't really know what's so funny about it. I was trying to be subtle, but clearly not subtle enough now. Let's see the tank picks, of course, Kazna crew with another round to come back with here. And they've got an M40, M43 to start with, so that worked for them last time. The Leopard as well. I look forward to seeing how that one comes into play.
Yeah, the absolute beast sniper tank. Of course, the Germans are still the best snipers in the game, even though those kind of roles which Wargaming perhaps set out for themselves for each nation have been a bit diluted in recent times in the last 1.5 to 2 years. But still, the Leopard, probably the best sniper in the game with a tier 10 vehicle. Accurate as hell, easy gun handling, fast, maneuverable. Of course, the only problem being it is very, 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 very weak in terms of its armor. It can get destroyed completely, but a good player will always make a glass cannon work.
Well, Stefan's going to be on that one, so let's see.
And Stefan's a brilliant player.
All right. Well, he's on the red line right now, so we'll see what he does later on as Raging Potato heads in towards the middle of the map. Just a scouting run and doesn't actually manage to see much except maybe Isne. But I think that was actually spotted by the STBs down the south. Not sure either way. Penta, no, okay, thank you. It was by Raging Potato. Thanks, Observer. So a little bit of a scout run here for the 251. Pretty standard stuff. It's what you always should be doing in your public games as well if you are playing that light tank or the lower tier light. And a moment of vulnerability there for Raging Potato as he went up on the side. That's going to allow you, by the way, as well to keep a bit of momentum. As you're moving on that light tank and you're swerving a bit, you lose some speed. But fighting line there, it was actually spotted. So that was coming in from Eurofish there as well. I don't know if he was spotted before the shot came through or not.
No, I don't think so. I think
blind spot.
the IS-7, really the only realistic position it can push up is this left side. If you go on the right side, sure, you can push up, but you need some other tanks with you to spread the damage slightly. Like we saw yesterday, was it from Oops against Rusty Roster when they pushed 4 IS-7s from the attack? Pretty insane stuff.
So cool.
And Vitaline just peeks over there. It doesn't really matter because we've got about 42, 45 seconds reload on that M40, so he will go unspotted before Eurofish can find it. But does make the shot again, doesn't quite hit, and you can see he probably aimed a lot shorter than that, but and the M40 just not being particularly accurate at the end of the day. And Penta Sports starting to group up towards that right side, and they're probably going to get control of that area. But there is a Batja in A0, ready and waiting, and will Penta Sports be able to counter basically their own tactic, their own little trick they did in the previous round, which of course didn't work out for them?
Well, Raging Potato is keeping himself known to Kazna crew at the moment, but this is maybe obscuring the movements of the rest of Penta. They've set up by that train line. Might be pushing across here as well, but they're not going to find a lot. It's going to be Isne up in the corner, so you better hope to be A, spotting things, and B, actually be able to get out of there safely, which is probably pretty doubtful, actually, given that his spot is, well, he's prouder than a shag on a rock, pretty much up on that mountain, which is an Aussie term for someone just really being out in the open and not caring about it. So we'll see.
Yeah, you need to explain that because I have no idea what that meant.
I've done it. It's all right.
To be fair, you can
I saw
kind
Melly
of
shoot
allude
me a
to what it
sideward
means.
glance when I said it, so...
I mean, it does kind of... All Aussies explanations, the actual hard part's not working out what they mean. The hard part is knowing what each word means.
Yeah.
Like, putting it all together is easy.
When I say
each
shag
word
on a rock,
doesn't mean any
people get a
sense.
bit funny about it, but it's a bird. It's a type. It's a seabird.
Well, it's a bird. It's a piece of old linen as well, so...
Many things that it could be, guys. Get your heads out of the gutter. Now, Penta Sports going to be moving across again. So really not gaining enough information for them to make a decisive push. Using this dead area as well. I mean, a little bit risky given that Eurofish is pretty much looking straight at this area of the map. Mayland as well has to be a little bit careful.
Well, I mean, Kazna have failed miserably, parlously, I have to say, along this A1 to A3 area before, where they just haven't been particularly aggressive. But Raging Potato doesn't get spotted, unbelievably, by that STB, and Vetso does get spotted, so great stuff. And he will get the first shell going towards him. Second shell, a lot of damage from him. Raging Potato does, so that's a big mistake from Raging. He can easily fall now.
Calm your tits, man. Seriously, the way I had to fire there is Vetso just showing a little bit now. Raging Potato will be lucky to get out of here with his life. On the move is not easy, but here comes the rest of the push from Penta. Nice work. They completely swamped over Hyper and took him out. And somehow against the odds, Raging Potato still lives. The dead zone and multi-show have 5 shots between them, and they're looking to take down another tank. Malin now only just starting to take a bit of that damage there. Eurofish might be spotted in a moment as well. That would be dangerous. Malin sees Ilian. This is good from Penta Sports. I'm not going to lie. They're springing into action and it's working out.
It's working out very nicely. And Nexus actually doesn't manage to take down New Multi-Show in that situation. So that's not good. And Kazna Crew quite low in HP. And they've also lost control of that left side. So Penta Sports can now go for the cap. Eurofish really needs to start working. He needs to hit this next shell. And yeah, again, as I said before, Kazna Crew are really not good against this A-line pushes. They just got absolutely obliterated, and we can see how if you spread your resources thin on this map, you can easily get punished without any repercussions.
I don't know if Kazna Crew have really looked weaker, to be honest. That was very average. They just folded to Penta Sports. And a bit of an embarrassing kind of way here. And there's Eurofish finally going down, of course. He can't really move. There's no point trying to leave that spot. He'll be spotted instantly. So Vale and Stefan, it'll be someone, probably Vale here to get the last shot from that Leopard. And it's just Easy left on the other side of the map who's just sitting there like, boys, what's going on? Like, leaving him on his own here. Kazna did have a scout tank, by the way. They had the artillery instead, so they couldn't really gain a lot of information in the mid like Rage Potato was able to. He really opened things up, by the way, but I think we're a bit harsh on him. I think the reason why he fired is because he knew that Penta were already moving in for the kill, so it wasn't so covert as we maybe thought it was initially. So fair enough, I think. And he's trying to get the finish, but Desinishta is just going to come straight through, bounce off the front of the turret. The bat chat bounces, ladies and gentlemen, but that's a good way to finish things off. He gets piled onto by Desinishta. That's almost RNG material there. And there we have it, 3 apiece here, of course. And Penta bring it back. We're going to be going on to our 4th map here, and anyone's game, it well and truly is.
Yeah, I mean, Penta Sports just stepped up there. And again, you know, Kazna Crew, we saw in that A-line area and failing. Again, it's a simple push in there from Penta Sports, just going in with Raging Potato first. And when you spread your tanks, there's a little trough there on the right side, which Penta Sports could just go through. Yep. They're completely safe from Stefan's gun. They're not safe from Eurofish necessarily, but you know, it's an artillery piece. It's always a bit of a gamble, and you've got such a long reload. Even if you do hit that shell, you know, you're going to hit, let's say, 700-800 damage, maybe 900 if you're lucky. It's not game-ending damage either way. And for that, I mean, you've lost, what, a bat chat, you lost an SDB, 2 SDBs, because Hybe was, I mean, if he's in that position playing an SDB and not an IS-7, that's just not necessary. That's a bit stupid, I have to say it. Yep. You should put an IS-7 there like Penta did. But Penta's just going aggressive across, taking those 3 or 4 tier 10s down, and there's just no way Kazna Crew can stay in the game at that point in time, especially with that artillery piece on the wrong side of the train lines. And yeah, I felt like when Kazna got those positions, they didn't do anything with them. I mean, they really didn't. And they didn't do enough damage when Penta went across. And maybe Kazna was just expecting Penta Sports to push into that right side at some point in time, because they were getting spotted consistently. But obviously with Vitaline being spotted on the IS-7 on the left side, you know, you can kind of guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a little bit weird from Kazna there as well. I think we just said it the round before that we're starting to see a little bit of the old Kazna. I think there are flashes of it, but right now, they're not looking so good, Oliver. They're really not. I mean, I generally used to expect them to sort of be a presence at our finals right now, but this isn't top 6 gameplay we're seeing from them. I have to be honest with you. There are a lot of other teams that would probably preferentially find themselves in that upper bracket or that upper echelon of teams here. And if Kazna Crew want to avoid a nasty first-round matchup in the playoffs, or the pre-playoffs, should I say, they want to get a win here. They want to climb up further into that top 4. So Himmelsdorf is the next map, of course, and we have a Waffentrager Alfie 100 here for Penta. Nothing really notable from Kazna here as well. A map that they have to win, it's 3-3 currently, by the way, for those at home. So still anyone's game.
4-2.
Is it 4-2?
Yeah, Penta won 1 round on Prokhorovka and 2 rounds on Ruinberg.
Right, you are.
And 1 on Cliff.
I am wrong. Match point.
But Penta's now on the defensive side on Himmelsdorf, and Kazna Crew on the attack. I mean, really risky stuff. And, you know, this is a completely different kind of paradigm for Kazna Crew in terms of the way they're playing the game. In the first few parts of the season, they were just being aggressive and they were just winning the skill trades. Now they're kind of trying to play like everyone else. I feel that they're not playing particularly well, and that's where Penta Sports starting to learn, even though they've been playing pretty badly, and that's why they're in 9th place at this current echelon, this current stage in the season. So, yeah, I mean, Penta just playing solid, well tanks, and just Kazna Crew just not. There's just no other way of putting it.
Some more MLG here from our RU251 play on Himmelsdorf, and Raging Potato gets a spot on Ilian. Ilian took a blind shot there, so being revealed, and that's actually a lot of information really just in that. Hyper even being lit as well, and some damage for Raging Potato. Doesn't get much better than that. So Penta know where the brunt of Kazna's force is. They've also done some damage to them, and they know, oh, well, Rage is now lit, so that was probably not the direction I would have gone in. I would have maybe gone towards the 8 line, even to risk some shots coming in from the hill. Raging Potato probably goes down here. Some blind shots now will be following. We got lucky. All right, one more would have been enough to finish him here. But the dead zone now had a read on Ilian. He took a hit himself. Bit of a weird opening to this one.
Yeah, I think Kazna probably came off the better there. They've kind of even HP, even though they have the lighter lineup, the MX-3090 and a TVP, which is good. And they have got the better record so far. I mean, 37.5% for Penta, even though they played 8 rounds, and 71.43% win for Kazna on this map with 7 rounds played. So
that's pretty good.
That doesn't include. I mean, none of these map statistics include, of course, the matches we played this week. We just haven't had time to update them. But in general, it gives you an idea of how the two teams play this kind of map. And Vetso just making sure Vitaline knows he's on the hill, he's getting control of it. And to me, it looks like Kazna, I mean, just going for the early peaks. Penta Sports holding fast, not giving too much away. But they are starting to push through the middle, that's Kazna.
There's no one there really to spot these Kazna tanks moving across quite yet. So I think Mayland, one of those FE215Bs, caught a glimpse of Eurofish moving across. So now they know at least what's happening here. But they've got support on the hill, Kazna crew do. And, you know, if Kazna could bait some movement onto this D line, it's going to be on for young and old. There's TVP and there's an AMX 50B up on the hill there. And that's really, you know, good opportunities here. Vetso even looking down towards New Multi Show. You can see him up in that little crevice. New Multi trying to get his gun up. You can see him. Not really worth going for the shot, though, I dare say. Is Multi now has to back up. He needs to give up some ground, otherwise he's going to be a bit vulnerable. And that's just going to allow Ilian and Eurofish now to prod forward a bit further. And they're pretty much splitting Penta down the middle here. If they can jump through the 7 line onto the 8 line, if they can get New Multi Show down and then go for Desinishta, this is perfect start for Kazna.
But Hyber was spotted, so maybe Penta Sports is now aware that there is a possibility that Kazna crew is starting to encroach on New Multi Show's position. But Desinishta is kind of committed to the hill, so is Vitaline. So these FE215Bs, 400 damage per shot, will be able to kill a New Multi Show in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, this is a really nice flank. New Multi Show is about to be in deep, deep trouble. Ilian takes one shot, backs up, cops one shot from New Multi Show as well, but not all these shots are connecting. I think it was Eurofish or Nexus that actually missed theirs. And the problem is, look at this indecision right now. Eurofish goes right out into the street. There's a Waffentrager about to come around the corner, and he's looking straight towards Eurofish as well. Look at the damage. He's gone too far yet again. I understand it. Vetso and Least and Stefan are able to do some damage back in response, but that was messy. You don't have to push that far around. And still, New Multi Show lives. Just goes down.
I mean, Kazna crew are just playing this so well, though. They've done so much damage. They're taking down 2 tier 10s. Vitaline's also dead. Vetso's somehow still alive. Stefan only received 600 damage on the cross. So every single angle is really working for Kazna. Yeah, they lost the AMX 3090, but once that 50B comes off reload, Vitaline is just sitting duck.
Yeah. He had to come off the hill there as well. And despite Eurofish going a little bit too far forward, it was still a perfect strategy from Kazna crew. And now Vitaline's going to get wrecked here. One more shot from Vetso. He's going to reload. Really nice little probe here from Kazna crew. This is what I mean there. Himmelsdorf is actually looking really darn good lately. Stefan goes for the peek there, gets the kill. And the dead zone, probably questioning whether he really should peek this corner right now. The entirety of Kazna's there. I mean, Eurofish is a 2-shot, Ilian's 2-shot. But Hyber and Nexus are looking very, very healthy. And there again, that hill control for Kazna crew proving to be so important now. Stefan and Vetso can move out in tandem and just take shot after shot towards his FE215B. There is some support from the rest of Penta behind the dead zone, but still, damage after damage comes in. Mayland and Vale are still very, very healthy, but they need to get the damage across now. Otherwise, 2v5, it doesn't matter how healthy you are, really. You just don't have enough guns to win the fight.
Yeah, Mayland's actually pushing around the corner, so that's going to force Hyber to go through. And I feel like maybe if they have the Waffentrager, Penta Sports can still come in this game, but as long as there's not really big throws from Kazna crew, they should just be able to grind this one out, take down these two.
Mayland now going very, very low. That's what happens to a health pool when you're going to go up against 5 other guns. He will drop. Eurofish there is Ilian. Penta now just trying to get some of these key tanks out of the game, but I don't really think is enough time. I think it's a little bit too late for that, actually, after losing some important real estate over the map earlier on. Vale tracked up again, can't repair this time. Everyone's getting tracked today. Brilliant. Hyber gets the finish. Vale will go down as well. And that is pretty convincing stuff from Kazna crew there. I like that. I love the splitting their team down the middle. I like working via the 7 line towards that 8 line with a bunch of FEs. I mean, it sort of hinges on you getting across the map safely, across the square. But once you do that, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and you know, once New Multi Show goes down, he was being pretty passive. There was no spot up that C line. And I think the Penta's logic there was simply like, okay, well, we've got a Waffentrager, an IS-7, and a potential FE215B. We can just push the hill. We can kill the 50B that's up there, and we can kill the TVP that's up there. Yep. So I think Desinishta was just too aggressive on that hell with that Waffentrager. If that had been further down and just accepting that push from the FE215Bs from the beginning, it would have been game over. But he went down. He went for the other option, trying to help his IS-4 and FE215B. But that, of course, allowed the 50B and the TVB to come around the corner. And that was the most important kill for Kazna. Take down that Waffentrager. Because, of course, we've seen, like, in later games, that tank can really start to punish you, even if you're ahead in terms of HP. So, yeah, I mean, very good. And the fact that New Multishow was getting spotted by the TVP was all the information Kazna Crew needed to go for that push against him. And finally, Elian at the back of the top of the damage board for once in a long time.
Yep, yeah, he's looking all right, actually. 3.5k damage is pretty nice. Stefan and Nexus, are up there as well. I mean, look, Vale and Mayland, you saw them. They were sort of the two FE215Bs that came in as the second line. So a lot of that damage was really done before after the game was already lost. Elian getting a good, at least 10 shots in there as well. So important there as we go down towards the end. Isne in the 1390, fair enough. Rage Potato still did a decent amount of damage here for a RU251, but it wasn't enough. I like the strategy from Kazna Crew, I really do. Let's see how that translates though now, because it's still obviously match point, guys. It's 4-3. Penta on the precipice of a victory here as well after very strong performances across all their maps, really getting around here, getting around there. Even not once do they give up a map 0-2. That's important. Double T10, of course, that IS-8. Double 50Bs, batch chats, and double 113 here as well for Penta. 3 batch chats, interestingly enough.
Yeah, they've gone for the fast lineup for sure. And I mean, let's just not beat about the bush. Penta have been better on the attack. Apart from on Cliff, they've won every other attacking round, and that includes Ruinberg. And if we're going to go along that logic, oh, okay, no, we're not going to have to restart this play. Hybrid just managed to reconnect back into the game in the last second. So, yeah, as I was saying, Penta Sport's really good on the attack. I think Kazna Crew have got to be very careful about how they play this one. And with 3 bat chats, that's a super aggressive lineup for them.
A lot of damage available in a pinch here. And, Rage Potato gets away, of course. He's a very speedy tank, but does spot that whole push from Kazna Crew. So nicely done by Rage Potato. Sometimes he's amazing, sometimes he's a bit underwhelming. His artillery play has been pretty decent, but he's just going to back away now as well. This is shots coming in from the hill and from the middle of the map here. Vetso taking a pretty big hit in that bat chat. Vitaline just not slowing down for anyone here as Vale is locked in a duel to the death here with Vetso. Looks like he might lose that one out as well. Vetso's let all of his shots go. A lot of damage on Vale here as well. He's limping across the line. And Nexus will put him out of his misery there. Penta make a big risk. They see Kazna's push, Ollie, and seems like maybe a knee-jerk reaction to send their tanks across the field like that. Now they're just going to get picked apart. Yeah,
of course, Penta knows that they'll be able to come back into the game by taking down those tanks that are shooting across the field, but have they lost too much in that initial engagement with the 2 113s going down? And I think they have. I think Kazna Crew have got the better positions now, and it's 5 versus 5. But of course, Eurofish now coming off reload and New Multishow on reload. It means that Kazna Crew have a little bit more freedom across the middle of that map.
Mailer now just trying to back up, and there's just too many shots in towards him as well. He just gets completely tracked and caught up there quite quickly to get bursted down. Is Isne as well. Good focus coming out here from Kazna Crew in general, I've got to be honest, and they managed to capitalise on Penta sort of throwing caution to the wind. They're still taking a lot of damage though, and New Multi-Show on the hill is a big part of that. Vetso gets taken down by Rage Potato. Health points are fairly similar. This could turn if New Multi-Show can keep putting this damage out. It's really, really impressive from him. There's an issue. Somehow is caught around the corner there, and Nexus comes out to meet him. There's one shot left. He wants to try and use it. He is not able to, unfortunately. Kazna Crew now starting to just weather the storm a little bit better. The dead zone's there, of course, with 4 shots left. These bat chats, of course, these periods of inactivity or weakness from them are definitely going to be causing Penta some worries here. Multi has to reload. Rage Potato has to reload. The dead zone has 4 shots, but no point fighting when you're on your own.
Yeah, I felt like the dead zone just managed to get across very nicely without receiving any damage. And to be honest, I mean, Batchats have been the clutch tank of the season so far. They've just been so strong. And New Multishow is actually off reload as well. So if Kazna Crew come around this corner, they're going to be down very quickly. And they have to be careful. If these 2 Batchats go around, could be good news for them.
Oh, New Multishow does get the first shot out as well. He dodges one, but he's not going to connect to one of his own here. Now, these shots need to connect for these Batchats, and they're just not. These T10s are weathering the storm fairly well. Isne goes down. Double Batchat, baby. Double trouble, but they both fired all their shots. Rage Potato now from the back needs to distract these tanks from pushing on, and that's a good target. Stefan is the most important target now for Rage Potato. We must connect these shots. Hyber also taking some damage. The problem is that these autoloaders need to survive until they're reloaded, and Eurofish is 4 shells ready to go. He's going to bang him in there. Misses the first one. Eurofish, please. There we go. one towards the dead zone. He's going to have 2 more left, and he'll be able to at least finish off the dead zone.
Yeah, that's good play from Eurofish. I think you've missed that one shell a little bit unnecessarily, considering how accurate that AMX 50B is. But what a close game so far. New Mud Show, he can still clutch this, let's be honest. I mean, 2k damage, and that's pretty much what Kazna Crew have. 390 damage per shell, 5 shells, easy 2k, and Kazna Crew with 1,901 and 6 minutes for Multi to play this game. But the thing is, Multi-Show is on the attack, so he could just start pressuring the cap, force Kazna Crew to come to him, and that will be, you know, potentially their downfall. We've seen Kazna Crew throw plenty of times before to mean that it's not unrealistic for them to do it again.
Oof, I don't know, man. I mean, the thing is, he doesn't have the damage in one clip to win this game, first of all.
He does.
Well, it's split across too many tanks. He kills Nexus, Stefan, Hyber, but Eurofish isn't a 2-shot.
Yeah, I mean, if he hits all his shells and none of Kazna Crew really, and let's say 2 of Kazna Crew miss their shells, New Multi-Show can win.
He needs more than one clip, is my point.
No, it's 2,000 damage he can do.
No, but look, kills Hyber, kills Stefan, kills Nexus. 2 shells to do 1,340 damage, it's not going to happen, mate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, he'll need to kill Eurofish first.
Yeah. And Nexus gives him a slap. Nexus still alive. Didn't actually take a shot, so New Multi-Show unfortunately missing the peak up. He's done and dusted. I think you might know it there. Nexus has 1 more to go. Yeah, New Multi-Show will get a kill here. Maybe even Hyper, but Eurofish there coming up from behind him. You can't really complain about that one. Kazna Crew, good recovery there, and they're going to be taking it to our tiebreaker map. Good work from them. A little bit of a rocky one though. We even said, well, there's a possibility here that Kazna can throw. It's not unheard of. I mean, Mines being the tiebreaker map is pretty exciting actually, considering these 2
Penta
teams.
Sports managed to win on Mines. The cruelness, the absolute destruction of Kazna Crew would be unbelievable. I kind of hope that they do in some ways, because, I mean, that'll be the salt in the wound.
You don't think Kazna Crew have had enough of a wake-up call yet?
I don't know. I think Kazna technically are the better team on Mines. I mean, it's like the most comfortable map for them.
Yeah, it was probably banned here actually.
Yeah, probably.
And they had to play it anyway because it's a tiebreaker map.
Probably banned by Penta, maybe.
Yeah,
I have to see. But I mean, if Mines is anyone's game. It's one of those maps where, you know, it just can come down to whoever decides to gamble for the hill or anything like that. And
yeah, and with 1 round as well. So, I mean, fastest attacking side will win. So we'll have to wait for confirmation from our admins who goes where.
Kazna Crew had the faster attack.
All right. Well, let's have a look here at least at the damage. LD Nexus in the FE215B really putting a lot across the board here. A big part of his team actually getting over there. New Multi-Show as well had to do a lot of damage, and he did. Of course, those last few shots really didn't. I mean, there was a lot riding on him, of course. Stefan as well in the 50B. We see quite a few of those autoloaders featuring here on the front page. 4 of them, in fact. 2 50Bs and 3 bad chats, so 5 in total. Heading down a bit further, the 113s, Oliver, really didn't do much. Let's talk about that as well, because that was definitely a part of Penta's undoing here. Moving across the middle of the map, and they really got caught out.
Yeah, it was kind of a bait from Kazna Crew. I thought at the beginning it was very interesting from Penta and very bad from Kazna Crew. Now, pushing all their tanks down to 1 to 3 line, that's normal, but they all went down the 3 line. They went all down the 3 line, and Raging Potato's a great spot with the AMX 3090. That's a normal spot. But then it was a knee-jerk reaction from Penta Sports to send the 2 113s from the 8 line where they thrive through the middle of the map, and then Kazna Crew surprised them with the kit of the FE215B, and I think it was 2 FE215Bs. And they just destroyed those 113s along with a bat chat. So I think it was 3 versus 2 or 2 versus 2, but obviously being in the better positions. And then, yeah, I mean, losing 2 113s is definitely not good.
Yep.
Penta made the right call then, taking down that tank in the corner.
Yep.
And then they started to claw their way back into the game. But thanks to very good play from the 2 pat chats that were on the hill and some very big misses from Kazna Crew. But they made the right decision in the end to kill Raging Potato, who obviously took down Betso. So, yeah, I mean, Kazna Crew just about got it done. Incredible. I mean, we've had Ruinberg, where one team has won on both sides, regardless of the bias. And then on this map as well, the other team has won on both sides, regardless of the bias. So
right.
Penta won the defensive side and the attacking side, the bias being on the attacking side on Ruinberg. And Kazna won the attacking side, the bias being the defensive side on Himmelsdorf. So, I mean, 50-50 right down the middle.
And then as we move on towards Mines as well, that just doesn't help us at all try to figure out who's going to be coming out on top here. Melly, we know the votes are closed and all that as well, but, I mean, we sort of saw where that they left off, and still a lot of confidence going in towards Kazna Crew here. But I would say technically Kazna Crew are the better team on paper, but they haven't looked like it tonight. Really. Even that last match was pretty average. When they're winning, it's not super convincing, especially on Himmels.
No. It looks very tight and very, very uncomfortable for Kazna Crew, because it seems like they're having a hard time of finding their way into the game and showing their usual skills, with Penta, of course, making them a hard time. But people at home also decided that Kazna Crew might be not that much in favor as at the start of the vote, when they were sitting pretty comfortable at an 80%, and now it dropped down on a 65% right after the fourth map, of course, when the vote closed. And yes, we have roughly 12% of the voting people voting for an overtime, so which we're actually seeing, and around 8% think that it's going into Kazna Crew's favor. So,
well,
yes.
I mean, Kazna have shaken the monkey off their back, the Himmelsdorf monkey, obviously, with a good showing here. But mine actually was when we saw the name of Clickapit really come to the rise. And this was actually a super close showdown between these two teams, where Clickapit actually landed some really important shots and won Penta the map here. So we're going to jump into Tank Beast in just a sec, guys. So we'll see exactly what is going to be being brought into this one. Of course, Clickapit no longer an inclusion for Penta, but his legacy remains. It is an artillery piece being used here for Penta by the looks of things. It'll be Rage Potato on that one, the M40, M43. And like I said, I think he's had some decent performances on it. The final showdown between these two in this match, it's 4 apiece. And we're jumping into mines to see who is going to come out on top. It's been an epic brawl, at least 1 point for either of these teams, but I know there's a lot more variety on this than just points, Ollie.
Exactly. It's all about pride, and these two are probably the most familiar teams against each other. But yeah, let's be honest here, okay? I think Penta Sports with 83% win ratio probably the better strategies on this map so far in the season, with tier 10, and Kazna Crew with 63, 66%, perhaps the worst. But good spots here. I have to say, okay, let's be honest, the 113 tactics haven't worked out for Kazna Crew in the matches so far, as Yisny just gets tracked up in the RU251.
Yeah, attacking side choice for Kazna, super interesting. The fact that Isni isn't dead is actually a really good sign. So he's control the island. That's pretty massive, actually. We so often see teams go for these big pushes towards that island to get wrecked. And the reason that Penta couldn't do anything about the island is because they had to commit 3 tanks to get in that boost on Derzanishta early on.
Did they get it up? He got
up. Well, I think he's still getting up there. That's a problem. I think Penta's strategy takes a little while to set up. So quickly putting Isne across the water was actually the best decision that could have been made. Nexus gets hammered there by Rage Potato. Great shot from him in that 113. And that hill, suddenly, not such a safe space for him. But there's Derzanishta. He's been spotted up on the hillside. Great control over the map, really. Between Derzanishta and Rage Potato, Penta can shoot a lot of this map.
Yeah, and also next is Amarak is down, I believe. So
oh my.
That's going to make it difficult for him to pump out the damage, obviously doubling his reload. And I think Nexus can find an angle on Durs, but of course he's going to have to go...
repair kit? What did he repair aside from
tracks,
that?
Probably, around the corners.
Rip.
So, yeah, I mean, right now, I see the Kazna Crew's way in is obviously that left side, because Nexus has to peek too much, and Mayland and Raging Potato are there. Great little blind shot there from Raging Potato, take another 500 off Nexus. So Kazna Crew have had a little bit of a wake-up call now. They can't just relax into this game. They really need to play on their level. And Nexus needs to get safe before he just gets splashed to death.
The hill's been completely denied there as well, and he wasn't even spotted. It was a blind shot, like you said, but fairly obvious where he'd probably be going there. Vale now being drawn out just enough that even Eurofish actually got a shot in towards him. He's going to go down so much quicker now as those autoloaders really get involved. That being said, Elian and Isne went low. It was a 251 as well getting in there, so fair enough. Both of them took a lot of damage. Vale still able to really fight before he went down.
That's a great thing about the TVP, right? I mean, regardless of the situation, doesn't matter how overmatched you are,
fire rate.
You're probably going to get the all 4 shots out on your 1.3k with 1.5 seconds between shells.
Yeah, super punishing then to even try and commit to all-inning that tank to get rid of it. Look at how many Kazna players are spotted right now as well, so I'll be interested to see what happens now. Good positioning right in the back corner. It's Stefan in the TVP. Now, he'll be able to see this flank coming, but will it be enough? New multi-show. Guns are turning towards his Penta tanks here. Vitaline goes down to half health, and it's a good response from Kazna. They've got the damage across the line, and this flank from Penta has fallen in a heap.
New multi-show is so low right now, he really can't do anything about it. Highball will have the reload, but of course the fact that that 113 got Amarak doesn't help him as he's got taken down, and Nexus is actually on reload on the hill, so that could be a problem.
Hyber now taking a lot of damage from New Multi-Show and needs to use that rock for a bit of cover. Vetso loading in. Pounce from Hyber on towards New Multi-Show. That was an important frag to be getting. But New Multi-Show going to have to head back off the hill here, looking for Elian, and he does get him as well. Elian had the last shot though, 1 bullet left. Very fortunate for Elian to be able to make that shot towards his countryman. New Multi-Show falls down. It's a 5v3. Malin now just taking a gambit, going here in for Eurofish, who is on reload. Malin can really exploit him right now. Eurofish trying to simulate actually being loaded. And so far, I mean, it caused Malin actually to fire at someone else. So he wants Malin to fire at him and just him. He wants to soak up some damage. And I think that worked, actually, to be fair. We did manage to get his attention for a while. Look at Durs up on the hill. A mountain goat that he is, but unfortunately for all the pretty tactics and all the great positions, yeah, Durs can put the Penta flag on that hill, but unfortunately Kazna crew are going to be up there in a few moments to rip it out. It's just 2 tanks left, and well, Durs is just going to try and protect Raging Potato while staying safe himself. He does see Vetso in the 113. So a bit of an early warning for Raging Potato to go for some sort of direct fire here, but I don't know, man. Durs is going to get caught up on that hill, tracked to bits. Now moving on down. It's a good strategy. He actually killed himself there because that little lip of rock. But Kazna crew have done it, Oliver. They're going to finish things off here, Raging Potato. The GGs are coming out.
What a game.
And Kazna have turned it around. Yeah, it is a good game. I mean, maybe not so many ridiculous 1v1s or exciting things here, but both teams putting on show for us. Some great tactics and skill. And Raging Potato now has to await his fate. There's nothing he can really do. He does get... Vetso lets him have that one.
Well, I don't know why Vetso didn't just push around the corner. I mean, might as well just go and kill him.
Raging Potato did his ammo rack as well. So he'll go down. And that's the GG. Game 1 of the night. It promised to be a good one. And it definitely delivered 5-4 to Kazna crew. They get 2 points away from this one. Kazna crew trying to halt their slide down the ladder. It's not bad to get 2 points here as well. But they need to pull their socks up and think about further on. And Penta, this is disappointing for them. This... was possibly a turning point in their season, actually, after getting wrecked in a couple of those last games, sitting down around 10th, especially losing, obviously, earlier this week. A win against Kazna, bolster them in, of course, to the last couple of weeks and then the pre-playoffs, so maybe sneak in there. But Penta now looking down the barrel of actually missing playoffs completely. Or even the pre-playoffs.
I mean, sure, they really need to step up. I think they might even have to rely on some of the other teams performing badly for them to get into that top 6 position to go to the pre-playoffs. But, I mean, I do feel sorry for Penta Sports because, I mean, they weren't any worse than Kazna crew. Both teams have glaring weaknesses on some maps. Ruinberg, of course, being Kazna's, and that's been, you know, completely consistent through all their matches. And Himmelsdorf has been glaring weakness for Penta Sports, 37% win ratio on it. So you can see where the two teams just need to actually work on their maps, and they lost where they need to work on them. So, okay, like we had Cliff, which was not a bad map for both teams. So it was 1-1. Prokhorovka, not bad for map for both teams, another 1-1. And Mines, which is, it seemed to me like Kazna crew chose the attacking side because they knew what they wanted to do and they had a tactic for it. And again, they're probably more of a comfortable team in general. And, you know, the bat chat on that right side, TVP's being maybe expecting Kazna crew to go to that left side. You know, it was a gamble. It's always a gamble on these tiebreakers. But it was one hell of a game, and a tiebreaker does kind of do justice for both teams in some ways.
Absolutely. Let's bring up the post-match stats as well. Nexus up the top there. Stefan not far behind, and very consistent performance from those two. And New Multi-Show, unsurprisingly. Look at the damage is really quite close, actually. No real big front runners. Nexus about 100 ahead of Stefan in terms of damage. So those two very, very close. Now, like you said, I mean, both these teams have had their weaknesses exposed to themselves. But at least for Kazna crew, there's a chance to work on these before the finals. With this loss, Penta, it's very unlikely that Penta will drop below 10th, but to climb above 9th is tough. They might be able to get past out of range, but...
they've got Utopia and Rusty Roster, though. I mean, they can beat those two teams. Maybe Utopia they'll struggle against, though.
Yeah, the problem is
yesterday's performance.
Utopia and KV stand between them getting into the pre-playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not the pre-playoffs, sorry, but in towards that sort of top 6. So that's a problem for Penta. Big time, and as you can see, as we count down, of course, Hyber always opting for the tier 9 or the small tank there, so no surprise there. Same can be said of Raging Potato, who, by the way, had a great match last round, of course, doing a lot of damage in that artillery. I think second top damage. So there we have it, Melly. It is Kazna crew taking it away 5-4, heading into the break. I mean, I'm sure people, as they see this action, those Kazna fans will be breathing a sigh of relief. It was a close one.
Absolutely, it was a really, really close one, and the vote was right at the end, even if it dropped a little in numbers towards the end of the match, well, towards the end of the voting period. The next vote is already online. It will be Out of Range versus Tornado Rocks. And currently the vote is sitting on 95% in favor of Tornado. People, you can still vote, by the way. I almost forgot my line. Head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get yourselves involved in our team voting. Simply choose the regarding logo of your favorite team and then predict the exact scoreline in the little text field below. To get your chances of winning bonus codes, we will reward the 3 fastest correct predictions with a bonus code containing a Großtraktor, 500 gold, 3 days of premium, and a garage slot. And of course, hashtag WGLEU is the hashtag you want to use on Twitter to tell us what's on your mind, and also follow at WGLEU for your live ticker. If you have to leave your computer, don't be sad. I will spam you with everything what's going on.
Thank you very much, Melly. And now we set our sights on the next match, of course. Out of Range versus Tornado Rocks, Ollie. On paper, definitely looking like a little bit of a mismatch. Would you agree with that in reality?
Yeah, Out of Range has been getting better. They've only had 1 loss this half of the season so far since the Christmas break. But yeah, I mean, it's undoubtable. Tornado Rocks, with only 1 loss so far and in 2nd place, they are the better of team in this matchup.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for that one. And on the other side, of course, of that game, it's going to be Wombats on Tanks versus Ding for an absolute cracker to wind up our Super Week. The action, ladies and gentlemen, just getting started. Stay tuned. We'll see you after the break.